Today, I'm going to teach you to install CentOS 7 on VirtualBox. CentOS 7 is a form of Linux, and it's most similar to a free version of Red Hat. You can download the installation media from centos.org. So in this case, you're going to select minimal because that's what we're installing today. This means that we will get a command line only version of Linux. If you want a more robust version with a GUI, you can select everything install. And then from there, you'll select the mirror that you wish to download it from. This will download an ISO file, and it'll take about 10 minutes to download depending on your internet speed. Now, while that's downloading, let's go over to VirtualBox and create the container that will essentially hold CentOS 7's operating system. This is essentially space that's set aside on the hard drive for this operating system. Since it's virtualized, it acts sort of like a file. It's not truly partitioning anything, which is pretty nice. Now to create this container, let's select New, and I'll name this container CentOS 7 Minimal because that's the kind of install we're doing. I'll make sure to select the type as Linux and put the version as Red Hat 64-bit. Now I'll hit continue, and here I'll set the memory allocation to the standard 1084 megabytes, and I'll hit create a virtual hard disk now, and then I'll select the type as a VDI. It is very important that you select dynamically allocated here. Essentially, if you select dynamically allocated, this ensures that the space is allocated as needed, so as the operating system grows, the space on the hard drive that it takes up will also grow. If you select fixed and you allocate 30 gigabytes, then the space set aside on the hard drive will automatically be 30 gigabytes, even if you're only using 15 of that. So it is crucial that you select dynamically allocated here so that you don't fill up your hard drive. So since I selected dynamically allocated, I'm going to select the maximum size that the operating system can grow to about 35 gigabytes here. Now the ISO file that I downloaded earlier should be done downloading now. I'm going to select settings. I'm going to load it by selecting storage, and then I'll select the little CD thing next to the controller. I'll select choose disk, and then I'll select the ISO file for CentOS 7 Minimal. This is essentially the installation media. So at this point, I've essentially created the container to hold CentOS 7, and I've inserted the installation disk if you want to use that metaphor. Now I'll double click the container to power it on and open the console. I'll select I for install, and then I'll hit enter. Now I'll wait while this loads. I'll just see a bunch of code run across the screen. I'll capture my mouse so that it's easier to work with. I cut out most of the loading time for you guys since I know that's not why you're watching this video. Overall, it took me about 15 minutes to do this installation. Now you should see the install wizard. I'm going to select English in the United States since that's what I speak and that's where I live. After this, it'll take me to a screen which has a lot of settings. It's good to check out the partition. So since this is being installed in the virtual hard disk that we created in VirtualBox, all that is available to this operating system is at 35 gigabytes. That's all that could potentially be, air quotes partitioned here. Since it is virtual, it's not truly partitioning your disk. You can delete the VM anytime you like, and that'll also delete the partition with it if you specify. This won't harm anything that's on your host machine. Now you can hit continue. This will take you to a screen where it begins the install, and here you can specify the root password or create one user. So here you want to set the root password, set something that's secure. Next, if you wish, you can create a user. I always like to create a user that has administrative privileges so that I don't have to log in as root. So give it a username and password and select make an administrator. Then when you're done, you can hit done. Now it'll remain on this page for quite a while. The install took a few minutes, but when you're done, you can hit reboot and it'll start up the operating system. Now the operating system might take a little bit of time to load the first time. You'll see some code run across the screen. When you're done, select core. And after that, you should see a command prompt since the operating system is loaded, and you can log in either as root, or if you created a user, you can log in as that user. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll have more coming on CentOS 7. You should be finished with the installation now. I'll try to answer any questions in the comments if you have any. Thank you.